Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Garland, and welcome to the Down to the Point podcast presented by Riverpoint Studios. Today, it is part 2 of our conversation with streamer and actor Ryan Kennedy, aka Sgt Fidget. So, before we jump into today's conversation, I would highly recommend, if you have not already, go check out part 1. Because in part 1, we talk the start of the Sgt Fidget stream, as well as get into some personal conversations about how Ryan got into acting, where he came from, and a lot more that will set up this episode very well, at least in my opinion. So today's episode, it's mostly all about the stream and learning how Ryan streams, certain aspects that actually took me by surprise that I wasn't aware of with his stream, and really getting into the nitty-gritty on what it takes to be a streamer, at least for what worked with him, and maybe a little bit of advice for all those jumping into the new platform that is Twitch, at least new to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump in to the conversation with Ryan Kennedy, aka Sgt Fidget, here on the Down to the Point podcast. Here we go. So you sort of had a bit of a gimmick going in there, like you had this character, and that was going to be sort of the, I guess, the character side of what you would be within this. Aside from that thing, what were your biggest struggles in getting into it and sticking with it? Because the market of streamers, YouTubers, content creators is the most full it has ever been, and getting somebody, an audience member, to take the time to come see you is tough, and I would argue that a lot of the time you're doing a very long time with no sort of consistency of viewers. Sometimes you do it for one or two people. What were your early days like in that sense, in terms of viewership, in terms of community and stuff like that, and how did you adapt and sort of overcome, if there was? I'm not too sure about the early days, but if there was sort of that struggle, how did you get past that?
Oh, I think starting out, and it's even worse today, and any streamer will tell you this, one of the hardest things overall is growth. Growth on Twitch or on whatever you stream on, Mixer, YouTube, Facebook. There's so many different streaming platforms now, which I think is wonderful, by the way. I think having competition, having multiple options for people to choose from is fantastic.
Yeah.
Growth is so difficult. It's very, very difficult. Especially, I'm just going to use it as an example because I know it's a popular game where even if people who don't really know what Twitch is, they probably at least have heard of this game, Fortnite.
Yes. A
lot of people got into Twitch, especially a lot of younger people are getting into streaming and everything because of Fortnite. But the thing you have to realize is, okay, you want to be a Fortnite streamer? That's wonderful. You enjoy the game. You want to share the content with a community or viewers? Fantastic. Wonderful. But when you go into the Fortnite directory, you're going to scroll, and you're going to scroll, and you're going to scroll down, 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 and that's going to be like 1% of the channels that are live in that directory alone. Because it's just like people see this crazy successful actors or musicians, models, whatever. They're like, oh, I want that. I want to do that. That would be a really fun job. Get to play games and hang out with people. That would be a really fun job. I want to do it. So you have all these channels and everyone wants it. So you got to find a way to make yourself stand out. You can, one of the things I've had conversations like this before with people where people are like, oh, well, my channel is good because it gives people a chill place to hang out. That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And if you feel your channel has that kind of vibe to it, that's like one of the greatest things you can ask for, and encourage you, keep doing it. But the problem with that is that the 20 channels over here are also really chill and cool. Maybe the one channel to your right is a little bit more an angrier player, I'll
Right.
say. But then the 19 other channels are also really chill and really cool. So in such a competitive and oversaturated platform, you've got to find unique ways. And I took the approach of using my acting background to try to bring in the cartoon squirrel, but maybe you can come up with something in terms of maybe how you play the game. Maybe you like doing voices, so you talk in different voices, or maybe you like cosplay, so whatever game you play, you dress up like Sea of Thieves. Maybe you dress up like a pirate,
Yeah.
or whatever. You find unique things that you enjoy to make yourself stand out. But on top of that, and this sounds super discouraging to say, but it's also reality. There are people who are fantastic, super talented, and will stream every single day for years, but they just will not grow. It's sad to see. It's like when you see like a really good actor who just can't get a job, or
Right.
like, wow, this person is a wonderful singer. Why is no one hiring her or him? It's a thing that everyone wants to do, and especially where I started and still do variety. Again, it's where I was talking earlier, where you change directory so much you don't get noticed by the same people all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm trying to still do that, but have a bit more consistency to it. Because I'll be the first to admit I have a wonderful community, an insanely supportive community. I just hit, as of recording this, we hit 5,100 followers last week, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a insanely big number. But I've grown such a wonderful community and supportive community that even though I'm not like an overly massive, huge channel of like hundreds of thousands of followers,
Right.
I've been able to do this as my full-time job for a year as of this Sunday. My 3-year anniversary was also the 1-year anniversary of attempting to go full-time. So there's no like real set way to determine. Even like the biggest streamers on Twitch will tell you it's a lot of it is based on luck. Either
Right.
you knew the right people, or you were streaming the right game at the right time. Maybe you have that one unique thing that the way you, again, maybe you play the game a certain way. Maybe you tell certain jokes, whatever. You got to find something that makes you stand out in an oversaturated industry.
No, that's very interesting, and I think I've seen that a lot of the times where I've seen both sides. Actually, I've seen how it works. Like I've seen your type of character in the show, which I would probably describe as Ryan turned up to 11. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, people always ask me, they're like, is that really how you are in person? Like, is this really you? I'm like, maybe when I'm not streaming, I'm not going to get up and, jokingly storm around my chair or whatnot. But in terms of the actual like personality and things I'm saying, it is me.
Yeah.
It is me at the end of the day. I'm not putting on like a super crazy character kind of thing.
I can vouch for that. I won't say that, hey, I'm Ryan's best friend, but the times that I have been around Ryan, he's it's not fake. Do you think, just sort of on the same topic, that some people, and I think I'm guilty of this as well on YouTube, some people trying to emulate instead of create, and it sort of causes a almost failure from the start?
It's a failure because it's not genuine.
Right.
People can tell. It's, this crazy successful streamer, you're literally taking their catchphrases, their mannerisms. You are just 2.0, but a less entertaining version, because why watch the knockoff when I can just watch the real thing?
No, that's fair.
You have to find, it's great to take inspiration from like your favorite streamers, actors, musicians, whatever. Always take inspiration from them. I think that's wonderful, but you have to take that inspiration and make it your own.
No, that makes sense. Especially today with so many new people jumping on these platforms. Well, I think too, which I want to talk to you about this before I get into my next question here. The changes over the past 3 years, because you've been doing this for 3 years, and the accessibility, at least for me, and we talked about this before we even started talking about this, where I asked you what streaming service you use, and I said, yeah, I couldn't figure it out, so I used this version because it was easier for me. Are you seeing more people get on because the sort of ease of access into this community is becoming much more sort of customer friendly?
Absolutely, and especially with consoles, a lot most. I don't know if the Switch probably doesn't, but at least the PS4 and the Xbox One, if you have either of those consoles, you can stream. You don't need all this fancy technology. You don't have to use all these crazy programs, have mixers, and hopefully you will like the streaming. It will grow enough that you can eventually invest in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just to start, if you have a console, you can stream. And it's honestly the best way to do it if you're thinking about trying, because you see it time and time and again. People are like, I'm going to stream. And they buy like hundreds, if not $1,000 worth of equipment, monitors, and all this crazy nonsense. And then they're 2 weeks in and they go, yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And now you have all this stuff lying around. So it's very, very accessible. And I guarantee you right in this moment, there's probably 100 people creating new streaming accounts right this second.
Guaranteed.
Which is good and bad. It's great that so many people can get into it, but then again, you talk about the oversaturated thing where you're like, oh, I want to stream this game. Oh, there's 10,000 other channels live right now in that directory alone. This could be interesting.
Yeah. And to speak on that and to speak on your sort of your style, your variety style, when for you did it feel like it was, starting to work? I assume there was a period where it was an uphill battle trying to figure out what you wanted to present as a streamer. But was there a moment or a time where you sort of finally felt like, okay, you know what? Holy crap, this is actually starting to turn?
I think it was the first time I went into an empty directory. I was playing a game from 1995. It was called Star Wars Dark Forces.
Nice.
And I would do retro games as well, because I grew up playing like the Super Nintendo, all those kind of stuff. So like I have a lot of wonderful and fun memories with those kind of older games. So I like to show my viewers games either I grew up playing or games that I missed growing up that maybe I knew about but just didn't get to play it for XYZ reasons.
Right.
But I think I'm going to say just over a year into streaming, and I decided I was going to play this Star Wars game. I think a Star Wars movie had just come out or something. There was a reason why I was playing a Star Wars game, and I was like, there's no one in this directory. It's a game from 20 years ago, 22 years ago, whatever it was at the time. No one is going to watch me play this, but I'm stubborn. I'm going to try it anyway. And then when I played it, everyone does this differently. Some people will watch their viewership while they're live. I tend to watch or check it maybe like once a week or once every couple weeks. I'll go through my statistics, my dashboard, and just see how things are going.
Interesting. Wow.
But I went back and looked at the stream, and I actually ended up having, I think, for as small as I was at the time, I had over 50 people watching me play a game in a completely empty directory, and I'm a nobody streamer. Like, to the average person, 50 viewers might not seem like a lot, especially when you see people pulling in like 10,000, 20,000 viewers. But for the size of my channel at the time, to pull in 50 viewers in a game that majority of my people who were even watching me had never heard of before, that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm on the right track here. I see what people mean by variety is definitely harder, but I want to prove that it can be done. And this was my first kind of like, I think we have something here. There's definitely something growing here.
That's awesome. I want to talk to you about something you just mentioned here. It's interesting that you don't view your viewers sort of live, because for those who are streaming, if you have a setup, it'll tell you like, or even if you're looking at your Twitch stream, it'll tell you like so many viewers are watching or whatever. Mm-hmm. Does that help you with maintaining your focus in the stream? Like, is there a specific reason why you don't do that?
It's the theater background. I never, and before I even get into this, first of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching your viewer number because everyone works differently, right? There's
totally.
there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
right or wrong answer to anything. This is how I do it.
Absolutely.
But when I was in the theater world, I don't walk onto stage and go 2, 4, 6. Okay, there's about 25 people here. Cool, right? To be or not to be? No. You just walk out and you do your thing, right?
Yeah.
So the reason I don't watch my viewer number is because there's nothing if say I'm having a quiet day,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing I can do to change it. I mean, sure, maybe I could change the game, or you could put some tweets out, or nothing you can do to change. That was a bad statement, but overall, like, this is the situation that you're in, right?
Right.
So if say you have, I'll just pick say you had 20 people watching you, or 100 people, whatever. My mentality is, okay, there's 100 people watching me right now. I need to put on the best show possible for those 100 people that are here, instead of going, oh, there's 100 people watching me. Yesterday we had 175. Wow, we're missing 75 people. Well, I guess I don't really have to try to, or I guess today's a bad stream. We'll just coast through. It's very easy to beat yourself up, especially if you say you're watching your viewer numbers and say you were at 120 viewers at 3:00, and then 3:30 it's down to like 95. You're going, wait, why'd those people leave? What did I do something wrong? Did I make a bad joke? Did I make a bad play? When you're gonna ask yourself 10 million questions, but it could literally be like, oh, they had to go to work, or they're on the other side of the world and they had to go to bed, or there could be a trillion reasons why.
Right.
But I just don't like to play the mind games with myself. So I just try and focus on what I'm doing in the moment and worry about the people later. Because, like I said, I've gone back through I think it's important to go back through everything and see what worked and what isn't.
Totally,
I remember one time I played Pokemon Fire Red for a stream, and I ended with 100 people watching me. And then literally the next Sunday, so 7 days later, in the exact same time slot, I ended with 50 people watching me. So same game, same time, but half the viewers. There's always a trillion different things that could be going on, or why people aren't watching on that moment or that day or whatever. So I just try to focus on the people that are there. Hopefully put on a fun, entertaining show. And if I'm playing a game and I check it after a week and go, oh, wow, my viewership's way down. Okay, this game isn't working for the channel. Noted. That's something to note.
Cool. That's very interesting. I never thought about that before. That's very cool. It's funny, the sort of amount of just, I don't even know the right word for it, but just the amount of thought that goes into each individual streamer. Because there honestly isn't one set way to do streaming. It's the same as YouTube. Like, there's not, I can't, it's actually, here's me stifling on YouTube a little bit. YouTube's, I did this thing with YouTube where they put out like here's a class on how to do YouTube. Like, it's this free class thing that you went on, online course. And I did it, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's interesting. And then we tried it, and it was horrible. Like, it just didn't work. I think it's the same thing with Twitch, where it's like, there really isn't a set way to how you should do this. It should be you figuring it out and finding what works best for you as a performer, because this is performance. Even though it's probably a lot closer to sort of, personal projection than, doing a character per se.
For sure.
But it is performance, and I don't think you can do that in a cookie cutter way, which is it's why I enjoy watching you, because I know the personal side of you, at least a little bit, and seeing what you've done with that and not losing that while also building on that is so interesting to me, just with the Sgt Fidget community. It's very cool. What for you has been the hardest part of sort of maintaining an audience? Because, once it started working out, and once you had the opportunity to, leave a job and do this full time, what has been sort of the hardest part, at least on your end, to, I guess, making that decision make sense, to leaving a job that is guaranteed, pay every week? What has been the hardest part to maintain that?
Sorry, what's been the hardest part to maintain, like, going forward with streaming? You
Yeah,
kinda talked
basically
about
just maintaining an audience, maintaining the community, and
Oh,
maintaining sort of the right decision to say, hey, I'm going to take a risk with this, leaving a job and doing this full time. What's been the toughest part of since you left your job? What's been
co-
the toughest part of it?
constantly trying to reinvent yourself, because even the people that do come every day and like support you, love you, whatever, like you're their favorite, doesn't matter what they're doing. If you go live, they're immediately going to click on your channel. At the same time, if you're just doing the same old shtick over and over and telling the same jokes over and over and over again, even if they're watching, they're going to lose a bit of interest overall, right? And that's where you kind of start seeing, oh, it's like, okay, so I'm looking at my stats and all my viewers are still there, but no one is talking in chat anymore. Okay. So I've got to find maybe something to revitalize them. Maybe it's one thing I've been looking at is getting maybe little table talker things, being like, okay, chat's been a little quiet for the last like maybe 20 minutes. Maybe I'll grab this table talker and it says, Chat, if you could be on any island with any person, who would it be? And try and maybe get a conversation out of that. But
Right.
again, it's what I was talking about earlier, trying to make yourself stand out. You have to make your channel unique. You got to find ways to keep people coming back, keep them interested. One of the challenges that I find, and one thing you learned in acting school, is in order to be a good actor, you have to experience things. You have to experience life. You have to go through things. So in leaving my work, when I used to bartend, I used to always have stories to tell, because anyone who's been in a bar will tell you'll meet the craziest of characters. And now multiply that by, I bartended for almost 5 years, so I always had stories to tell. But now, where this is just my full-time job, it's like I don't get all those crazy new exciting things to talk about anymore. So I'm constantly either trying to come up with funny stories from my past or try and talk about things that are going on in the world without getting too like political or anything, because while they're always interesting conversations, it doesn't take much for those conversations to go very, very, very sour.
Right.
Because when it comes to something like that, most people aren't going to agree. But any streamer will tell you you could have 10,000 viewers, but if your chat is absolutely quiet and you're asking questions or you're trying to throw things out and just no one's, throwing it back, it can deflate you very quickly. So one of the things I've had to learn, and I've gotten a lot better at it, especially doing it full time for the last year. I've gotten a lot better at it, but I'm human. I still have my days where if chat is quiet, it doesn't necessarily mean like you're doing something wrong or you're doing a bad stream. And I've used this on stream before. I've said it many times. It's something I learned from doing comedy plays in theater. Just because they're not laughing doesn't mean they're not listening. I have done shows before where one night, like, the audience is like roaring laughter every 5 seconds, and then the very next night it's like dead silent, and the actors backstage are all like, are we not bringing the same energy, or are we just kind of off our game tonight? Like, no one just seems to be laughing, no one seems to be enjoying the show. But then you go out in the lobby afterwards and people are like, that was amazing, you were so funny, and you're very caught off guard. You're like, oh, they really enjoyed it, but it was dead silent. It's one of the things is just don't play the mind games with yourself, and you're gonna do it. If there's any streamers or potential streamers watching this, you're gonna play the games with yourself. Just learn to not beat yourself up so much, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do.
It seems like the theater helped quite a bit in this. Just your background in theater.
It did.
There's a lot of stuff, because I've never really looked into the theater scene. I mostly work in film, but it's very interesting hearing this from you and seeing how such a I don't want to say old because that sounds wrong, but like historic art form of theater has translated to the new age and streaming in a way.
Yep.
It's quite fascinating. You talked a little bit about community here over our conversation, and I want to get into that because one of the coolest things that I saw just lurking, and for those who don't know what the term lurking is, it's basically just watching a streamer and not getting involved in the chat, just like enjoying from the background and not, being involved in the chat or whatever.
For example, a lot of times when I'm making dinner or after my own stream, I'll open a stream up and just listen to it in my headphones, but I'm actually in my kitchen, like making food or whatever, so I'm not interacting with anyone.
Exactly. So I do that a lot, but every once in a while I'll jump in and I'll just look at the community you have, and it's this crazy family of nutters. Is that the official term?
Yes, the Band of Nutters is the community name.
Band of Nutters. I love it. So one thing that I discovered recently, I had no idea what it was until, actually, I think I found it on your stream, and then I looked at it, I was like, what is this? How has Discord played into what you do on stream with the community? And
It's
if you
huge.
can, what is Discord? Kind of in the briefest of senses.
I'll call it like a community hub. It's a great place for people who want to hang out or chat to each other from the Twitch community, who see each other in Twitch chat every day, who can hang out and talk to each other without the stream being live. You can use it in your web browser. You can use it on your phone. There's an app for it, or you can use it on your PC, Mac, whatever. There's a program or app for that as well. But basically, you can hop in. You can have voice chats. You can have multiple people in a room. If you are a little shyer, you can just use text chats if you want. I always let people know. I always tag everyone in Discord, like when I'm going live, so everyone who want to be there right at the beginning of the stream will see that I'm live and they can get in there. It's just a great way for people to stay connected. And I even host community nights in there once a month. We'll get in there after a stream and we'll hang out. And we just started it. It'll be a lot of anniversaries this month. It'll be 1 year anniversary of doing the community nights. I used to be a massive WWE fan, like would watch Raw, SmackDown, Sunday Night Heat. I didn't miss a show. I loved them. Like Stone Cold and The Rock and all of them. I absolutely lived for it. But I stopped watching for years and years and years. And just through conversations and stuff, we found out that there was a lot of people who were fans of the show, or at least used to be fans. And one problem that I was having at the time, in terms of chat, to kind of go back for a second, was I was finding that people were happy to talk to me and ask me questions, or like jump in to a voice chat if they saw me in there. But the problem was no one was talking to each other. They only wanted to talk to me. And I remember one night, and I've told this story on stream before. I was in voice chat, and there was about 10 of us in there, myself included. And we were in there for a couple hours, and then I eventually had to go do some stuff. So I said goodbye to everyone, and I clicked disconnect. And before I could even start to turn my head to look away from the monitor, it just went boom. All the other 9 people in a split second all just disconnected from the server. And I stopped and I looked and I was like, there is no way that those people even said goodbye to each other, because it was that fast. It was just instant disconnect. And I was like, that's when I realized my community won't talk to each other. That is a huge problem. I can't have that. So fast forward a month after that happened, and we started doing the community nights. And now I've noticed over the last year, people are way more chatty with each other. They'll say hi to each other in Discord. If someone has a question, they'll respond to it. The community nights have grown even more. Even people who don't necessarily watch the pay-per-view, because we all just subscribe to the network.
Yeah.
WWE should give me some sort of sponsorship, because I plug the crap out of that network for them for these community
Sponsor
nights.
the man, Vince.
Give
what are you
me
doing?
free WrestleMania backstage passes. Let's go. But like, they've grown and they've become way more close. Now you're always gonna get the shy kind of people who like to be there but don't really talk. That's completely fine, because I think even just being there, they feel like they're included.
Right.
Which is a wonderful thing about it, is that people can join the voice chat, hang out with everyone, and even if they're not watching the show, they can still hang out, but they don't feel like they're put on the spot. Like we're not throwing a spotlight on them and be like, hey, it's all about you. Talk to us right now. It's a calm way that a lot of people can hang out on their own terms. And it's a great way to help build and bring the community closer together.
That's incredible. How would you describe, present day, your community and how important that is to the channel?
They make the channel. I know it's my face that you see every day. It's my jokes that you're listening to. It's my gameplay, or one of the running jokes, my lack of gameplay, because at the beginning of stream, I have said this so many times, my favorite thing about streaming on Twitch, and it was what made me want to start streaming on Twitch, is I love talking to chat, and I love just feeding off and improvising off whatever they say. It's my absolute favorite. So at the beginning of my streams, depending on how long, sometimes if chat's really quiet, I'll jump right into a game. But if like they're active and going right from the start, I've talked to them for an hour sitting at like the start screen of a game. Just sit there and just chat with them about whatever. I absolutely love it. And it's one of the things that got me into Twitch, was just that shared experience. The game is a medium that brings you all together, but it's the unique people within the community that's gonna make people want to come back or come out of their shell and want to be a part of that community. So like I said, even though we're not like the biggest stream on Twitch, like, and this is going to sound insanely corny, I know it's going to sound so corny that people who are watching this are prepare the eye roll. It's fine. It's fine. I don't take it personal, but like, we're not the biggest community, but they have a absolutely massive heart with how encouraging, even when I'm like, if I'm feeling down, like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm an entertainer, I have to be positive because I'm putting on a show. If I'm like, hey guys, like, we're gonna have a good stream, we're gonna play this game, it's gonna be really fun, I'm in a weird mental space today, so I'm sorry if I seem like off or distant. It's just I got stuff going on in my life, but please don't take it the wrong way. They'll be supportive, they're encouraging, they'll hang out with you, they'll chat with you. Everyone just looks out for each other. It's I consider myself so insanely lucky to have the community that I do, like unbelievably lucky.
From an outsider looking in, it's something really special, just from what I've seen. I've seen even bigger streamers not have quite what you have achieved with the community.
One of the compliments I hear most frequently, either from other streamers or even just people who like to hang out on Twitch and different channels and whatnot, I hear it all the time. People can't get over just how kind and welcoming the community is. That's incredible.
I mean, just a personal experience, because I was streaming Skyrim one night and you rated my stream, which for those who don't know, rating basically just means when you're about to end a stream, you send all your viewers, say, hey, let's go check out this person who's streaming. And then you sort of, everybody comments, hey, Fidget rate or whatever it'll be. I was playing Skyrim one night and you rated me and sent everybody over. And it was some of the most fun I've had with online content since I started, because they were so supportive. They helped me create what we called an lusty Argonian maid named Fidget. Yeah. That'll never go away. It was just this incredible thing. And it really, I think that was a time where I really knew that, man, Ryan has something really special going on over on Sgt Fidget. So 2 more things I want to talk to you about. One's going to be really short, and this will be the last big question I ask you. Okay. What's the future look like for you for streaming? Do you have plans? You don't have to spill your guts here and spoil anything, but what does the immediate future look like? And do you have any plans to stop, or is this full steam ahead? Let's keep going.
Full steam ahead, my friend. Season 3, as I've been saying all week, just to, as a stupid joke. Season 3 has just started. I got some stuff in the works right now, I am still working on the stuff that we mentioned earlier about like the sergeant and the voice, trying to find the right way to be able to do it live. One of the struggles that I've been having is there is voice acting involved, but as you can hear, I do have kind of a deeper voice, so getting up to that high pitch squirrel kind of sound is a little difficult. And to do that for a 6 to 8 hour stream on my own, I would probably shred my voice since I stream 5 to 6 times a week. So I'm trying to find a right way to help me up my pitch, but without it sounding robotic. Because like if you look at like your average voice changers and whatnot, they'll give it that kind of robotic sound. Yeah. So even though it's something I know people really want me to bring back, I'm taking my time with it because I want it to be done right. I want it to be good. I don't want it to sound like some robot is talking to you when it's supposed to be a squirrel.
What a sentence.
Right? Only on Twitch. Oh, told you. He's the weird. What's this? Why is this guy talking to a cartoon character? What is happening? What is going on? Again, more consistency while still doing variety. I think overall there's going to be an adjustment period, but I think overall it'll be helpful in terms of growing. But this last year, anyone who is self-employed will tell you it is stressful. You're going to have really great months. You're going to have really slow months. That's inevitable. That's always going to happen.
Right.
But on top of all that, just this last year has probably been one of the happiest years I've had in a very, very long time. When I was bartending, it was paying the bills, but even by like year 3, I was already kind of not like the happiest person to be around. And then by year 4, I was like, wow, I really don't want to be doing this anymore. I was waking up, I was miserable every day going to a job I just flat out didn't want to be doing. And now I get to wake up every day and just plan a show and hopefully put on an entertaining stream for anyone who wants to watch. And that's one of the things that motivated me into Twitch was when I was doing the audition circuit. I was like, man, I really love entertaining people. I really love just telling jokes. I really love bad jokes, like deliberately bad jokes. Like I know this is a really bad joke, but I say it anyway. And then I get those groans from chat and it makes me even happier. Like I love those. I love those. But when you're doing the audition circuit, you're like, oh, I hope I get this so I can act a part or put on a show or whatever. It's not up to you. You don't get to decide when you perform or put on a show. It's up to other people. And I just got tired of not being able to do what I wanted to do. So that's when I was like, yo, I can, stream on Twitch and I can literally do a show every day or whenever your schedule allows, whenever you want to put on a show, and all you have to do is hit start streaming. You don't have to go audition. You don't have to impress a boardroom full of producers and whatever. You can just be like, yo, I want to put on a show, start streaming. It's showtime. On top of that, now that I am this is my full-time job now, I can also balance if I am ever lucky enough to get back into the audition scene again. Like, oh, I know I normally start at 3:00, guys, but at 2:30 I have an audition, so stream will be an hour and a half late tomorrow. Boom, problem solved, and you get to do both still.
That seems very freeing for what you do. Yeah,
it is. Like, even on like the months where it's a bit slower and maybe you're stressing about whatever, I still get to come do something that I love.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That is incredible. Yeah, this has been a fantastic conversation, Ryan. Thank you so much for indulging me so much in this. And I know the people that are listening are going to find this quite fascinating because it's such a new sort of performance medium, and I think it's really exciting. So I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
It's going to be very short, and I saved the most important question for last. Who do you got for the men's Royal Rumble?
Kenny Omega. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn. Wild card. I love it.
He's I was saying to my community, we were talking about it, I was like, he's gonna be like AJ Styles. He's gonna come in at number 3.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the surprise. No, I could see Seth Rollins. I could see Seth Rollins has always been amazing, and I know they were on the Roman Reigns train for a while, and obviously for those who know like what happened, or for those who don't know, what was it, a couple months ago, his leukemia came back.
Yeah.
So insanely, whether you liked the man or not, insanely sad, and you wish nothing but the best for him. But now that Roman unfortunately had to step away for a little while, can't wait for him to come back.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I think Rollins is like their next best go-to guy. The guy, more often than not, puts on incredible matches every time. Every time. I love him.
He's the workhorse. It's quite crazy. All right, and very quickly, women's Rumble match. Who you got?
I'm very curious how they're gonna do this, because I think originally it was gonna be Charlotte and Ronda at WrestleMania, but now Becky is so insanely popular.
Yeah.
You might get Becky and Ronda. But maybe they'll go for the triple threat, since all 3 of them are absolutely huge stars. And to be perfectly honest, and I'm very happy to say this, I think the women's division is the most interesting thing on the entire program right now. I know Asuka and Becky have their match at Rumble, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did what they did with Roman that year, where Roman lost the title match earlier in the card and then showed up in the Rumble anyway. Because that way, if Becky won the Rumble, unless they change the rules this year, it's WWE, you never know.
Nope.
She can challenge either champion. So maybe Becky will win that and challenge Ronda, or maybe Charlotte or Becky will get some vengeance for, was it TLC? Yeah, it was TLC.
Yeah.
And maybe one of them will cost Ronda her title against Sasha, and then Ronda will join the Rumble, and maybe, I think it's going to be one of those 3 doing something, because they're the big names right now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, because sometimes you can kind of see where WWE is going. This year, I really don't know. I have no idea. Here's my prediction. Becky Lynch wins the Men's Royal Rumble.
That would be amazing.
Right?
That I would... Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry if that was loud. That would be phenomenal.
That's where I'm putting my money.
I would love that.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with everything with Sgt Fidget and everything you do. So people can find you on Twitch. It's SJT_Fidget.
Nope.
So Sgt Fidget. Is that all right?
SGT.
What did I say, J?
Yeah.
What am I even thinking right now?
Spelling's not for everyone. Don't worry about it.
No, English isn't my strong suit. SGT_Fidget, Sgt Fidget. And Twitter, it's just at Sgt Fidget, no underscore. Right?
Yes, I'm hoping to get the Twitch name to just Sgt Fidget at one point, but the way the Twitch system works, I can't do it right at this moment.
Okay, cool. So those are 2 places to find you. And if anybody has never given sort of streaming a chance, or Twitch a chance, check it out. See if you like it. You might not, but you might fall in love with this sort of very interesting new media version of performance art, honestly, is what I call it.
Sure.
And to the community of the Band of Nutters, thank you guys for being so welcoming. Some of you might know I'm One in Green. That's my sort of video game moniker on the internet, and it's been so fun to be a part of this, because I know when I launch Sgt Fidget stream, I'm going to be met with some incredible people talking about the games, talking about other stuff, and just being super welcoming to both new and old. So, Ryan, you got something really special here, and thank you for sharing your insight on how it all came to be.
Hey, love chatting, man. Thanks for having me.
For sure. All right. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon. All right, everybody, that'll do it for the Ryan Kennedy conversation here on the Down to the Point podcast. I just want to thank Ryan for giving me the time and allowing us to really deep dive into streaming, into his personal life, the acting, and everything that sort of came with the success of the Sgt Fidget crew, aka the Band of Nutters that his community is called. So before we leave, I just want to say Thank you to everybody who's listened to this conversation. This is the way that this show is going to be from now on. It is going to be a guest show, a guest conversation with incredible talent here in Canada, with a focus often on Nova Scotia, because that's where I'm from. That's where, I've become a filmmaker and got into the arts myself, and it's where I discovered so many incredible talent that I just want to share conversations with and maybe learn a little bit more about them and what they do. So, to find the podcast, you can find us on YouTube by searching Riverpoint Studios. Unfortunately, we don't have a URL that isn't, random numbers and letters, because YouTube has changed things over the years, yippee. And we're also on iTunes just by searching Riverpoint Studios. You'll find the blue background with the yellow logo. And we're on SoundCloud. And those three are the main areas that you can find our podcast, with YouTube being sort of our number one place to share the podcast. But I'm a podcast fan, and I know the ease of access and the accessibility of having a podcast on the go, audio-wise, is awesome to have. So that's why we're on iTunes and SoundCloud. So next time on the podcast, we'll be talking to another fantastic artist from Nova Scotia. However, we will not be coming out with a new episode on February 7th, which would be our next Thursday. We are going to skip that for a couple of personal reasons on my end. I won't have time to present the podcast in a way that I believe the podcast should be presented. So we will be back on Valentine's Day. Look at that. Thursday, February 14th, with a brand new episode of the Down to the Point podcast, as we share the stories and uncover some of the stories of fantastic, incredibly talented folks here in Canada, and more specifically, Nova Scotia. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Down to the Point podcast.